Hi friends! So this time we're going to talk about one-point perspective. And I want to show you a grid that I'm going to fill out over the course of our little lesson on perspective. So we're going to learn how to draw cubes in perspective. And we'll do it in 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point. And to draw a cube in any type of perspective, we need to figure out what shape to start with. And then what are the rules about depth lines, horizontal lines, or vertical lines? So we're going to start with 1 point perspective. And for 1 point perspective, we're going to start with a square. And our depth lines will be in perspective. Our horizontal lines, they'll stay horizontal. And our vertical lines, they'll stay vertical. And this will make a lot more sense as we move on and do the other ones, but we're going to keep this handy over the next 3 videos and I'll keep adding to it. So for 1 point perspective, you're going to want a piece of plain paper. And we're going to start 1 point perspective by adding our horizon line. Because just like that railroad track on the first video, we know that things are going to get smaller as they head off to the horizon line. So I'm going to draw in a horizon line, and I will label this as my horizon. And then I'm going to add a single vanishing point. So I'll make a dot on my horizon line, and I will call that, let's zoom in a little bit, I'm going to call that my vanishing point. All right, so to start a 1 point perspective drawing of a cube, bring in our perspective here. There we go. Sorry about that. All right, to draw our cube, we have to start in 1 point perspective by drawing a square, drawing the front face of what it is that we are going to be creating. Like I said, we'll start with cubes, but I'll show you over the course of the video how to do some more complicated things. So I'm going to draw in a square, and I'm going to make my square over to the left of the vanishing point. So you'll see I'm over here on the left, marking it in. I put a truly vertical line, and now I'm going to draw a horizontal line. Remember, in a square, all 4 sides are the same. I'll put in my top edge there of that front face, also truly horizontal, parallel to the edges of the paper, and now I have a square. All right, so I have my square. Zoom us in a little bit there. I have my square, and this is going to be the front face of my square. We're going to assume that it's opaque, meaning that I can't see through that front face of the square. Now, I'll notice that I have 4 corners on my square, and my horizontal lines are horizontal, 2 horizontal lines, and 2 vertical lines. Now I'm going to put in my depth lines, and for that, I'm going to go through the corners of my square, and I'm going to go off to the vanishing point. Now I'm going to skip this one, because if I went off to the vanishing point from this one, that line would be behind this front square, and we said it'll be opaque. So I'm going to go vanishing point, you want to use a straight edge for this. Vanishing point. There we go, vanishing point. Got a little off there. Just erase the extra line. Okay, so now this doesn't look like a cube. It should look like a rectangular prism going way back. Now you'll notice that currently I'm following my rules still, right? My horizontal lines are horizontal, my vertical lines are vertical, and my depth lines, well, they're in perspective. So they're going off to the vanishing point. Now we're sketching in perspective. So I'm gonna have you estimate where the back edge of that cube should be. And the more you do these, the better you get at seeing how far back it should go. Now keep in mind that this line should be truly vertical because it is a vertical line and we're 1 point perspective. So now I can darken that edge in. I typically work in pencil and then go back with a pen. Use St. Thomas purple for today. Now I can darken those lines. And now I have the front and the right side of my cube. Now how do I do my top of it? Well, I need a horizontal edge back here. And again, 1 point perspective, we look at our rules. Horizontal lines stay horizontal. So let's put a horizontal edge in, again, parallel to the horizon line and the edge of the paper. And now I can darken this line as well. And we'll zoom out a little bit here, right? We have a cube that is going off to the vanishing point. Now, the interesting thing, or I think an interesting thing, is to remind ourselves that in a cube, all 4 sides should be the same. So if I mark this off, this is the width. It's the same as the depth there. But if I look at this back edge, notice that that back edge, the vertical edge, is smaller. We know in reality that all sides of a cube are the same, but that one looks smaller to us, and so when we're drawing it with foreshortening and perspective, that line actually will be smaller. All right, let's do this again. So this time, let me zoom out a little bit. Let's try one above. So we noticed you could see the front, the top, and the right for this cube because it was below and to the left of the vanishing point and below the horizon. But what if we draw one up above? So let's try one up above. So you're standing somewhere and there's a cube in the air floating above you. Let's try it. So we're gonna go in, let's do this one to the right this time. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna draw a square because again, my cube in 1 point perspective starts with a square. So drawing in my square. And it's really important again to remember that a square is made up of 2 horizontal and 2 vertical lines. And following our rules for 1 point perspective, those are going to be truly horizontal and truly vertical. Our only perspective lines will be the depth lines. So I've got my cube, my square. Oh, and my pen is leaking a little bit. All right, then I'll switch to a different pen for the next video. We're going to mark our corners again. And this time, this one will be the one that we don't use. And now we're going to go after the vanishing point. So I'm drawing in my edges to the vanishing point. All right, now we have to complete our square and turning it into a cube. I recommend you pause for a second and see if you can figure it out without me helping, and then I'll hop back in and show you. Okay, are you done? Pause. Let's try making this into a cube. So I want to figure out where this back edge will be, and it's going to be a vertical line. So it's truly vertical, it's parallel to the edge of my paper. And then I'll use that to draw in my horizontal line. And then I'll darken some edges. There you go. All right, now let's do something a little more complicated. Maybe you don't just want a plain cube. What if you were going to break your cube into 8 separate cubes? So imagine this cube was made up of 8 sugar cubes put together. I'm going to show you how to divide pieces, and I'm going to use a different color pen to do that. Not just because my pen is currently leaking on the page. All right, I'm going to take, let's do green, this green pen. Now, how do you figure out where the center of a square is? Anyone remember? Well, we can do a crisscross with it, corner to corner. And actually, I'll do mine in pencil so I can lighten it out later. Corner to corner. And the point where those intersect, that's the midpoint of my cube. So now I can use that to divide that front face into 4 equal quadrants. Again, remember, in 1 point perspective, our cube started as a square, but in 1 point perspective, our horizontal lines stay horizontal, our vertical lines stay vertical. So I can draw a vertical line that passes through that center line. And now I can draw a horizontal line. And if I wanted to, then I could go in and lighten the crisscross lines a little bit. Okay, so now we've divided the front face into 4 equal quadrants, and since it is a true square, each of the 4 subsquares is, even if we were to cut them out, they'd all line up perfectly. But we know foreshortening happens when we go back. So let's do a depth line here. We know it'll start here, but since it's a depth line, it'll be in perspective. So we're going to follow back from that point off to our vanishing point. There we go. All right, well that divides our top into left and right. But how do we find the center of this so that we can divide it into front and right, each of those halves? Well, we'll have to do our crisscross again. So I'm going to zoom in on our square a little bit. There we go. Move the paper over. And I'm going to draw in a crisscross, again, corner to corner. And where they intersect along our green line, that's where I'm going to put in my horizontal. So let's put in a truly horizontal line. So it's running parallel to our horizon line. There we go. I made mine a little lower, I apologize. And then I can, from there, drop a true vertical down. So I'm now just missing this one line here, and since that's a depth line, we will run it back to our vanishing point. And then maybe go back in with our straight edge and darken in that. So now in reality, we expect that each of these cubes, each of these squares is the exact same size in reality, but because of foreshortening and perspective, these back ones are going to be smaller than the front ones. Okay, so now that you've seen me do this, Your challenge is to create your own cubes in 1 point perspective.